Welcome to Cocktails and Table Talk, where culture meets commerce and conversations lead to deals. I'm your host, Brian Tomlinson. This is the space for entrepreneurs, community leaders, and legacy builders to talk growth, ownership, and leadership. Because sometimes the real business gets done over a drink and a great conversation. So grab your glass, lean in, and let's get into it. I want to talk about something a lot of entrepreneurs won't really talk about. It's this grind called entrepreneurship. It's not always glamorous, and we're going to be unpacking some things I found out. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the 5 things they don't really tell you about entrepreneurship. So what I've come to find out is that the burnout is real. Burnout happens, even when you love what you're doing, you still get the burnouts. I mean, you still flame out sometimes. So let's start with this hard truth, right? You can absolutely burn out about doing what you love. You can absolutely burn out with doing the things you love. I love building. I love building this company that I have. I love building the store. I love building the business. I love building the faceless channels. I love doing all that, but sometimes it gets hard, but love doesn't protect you from exhaustion. There are days I open up, all these analytics and all this data, and I've got nothing. I got no sales. I got no hits. I've been constantly in the past scaling back my expectations just to keep moving. And what I've learned is it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to hit the reset button as long as you keep moving and keep moving forward. That's important. And I'm not scaling back my expectations because the vision changed. Because sometimes it's just me. That's what it is. I'm doing this by myself. There's no team. There's no backup. It's just me, the mic, and a whole bunch of Google Docs. Lots of empty coffee mugs, wine glasses, late nights, and that's what it is. Moving on, and this is a good lead-in, is that mental health is part of the business plan, and I'm learning this the hard way. And I fixed this. I've actually put mental health as part of the plan when I'm moving on to something new. They never tell you how much of this whole business thing is mental. Some days it's not the to-do list that stops me. It's the mental blocks. It's that self-doubt, the lack of motivation. Especially when, there's health issues involved, like what I'm going through, physical or emotional. Consistency becomes a battle. What this has taught me is that the mindset is not optional. It's the part of the business plan. If your head is not in the game, if it's not right, then nothing else will be either. So that's key. That's critical. And I mentioned something about consistency becomes a battle especially with mental health issues and health issues in this role that you pick becoming an entrepreneur. Consistency. I've found that to be one of the most important things. Consistency is greater than perfection. The biggest thing I've learned and continue to learn is that consistency beats perfection every time. I've started, I've stopped, I've started again, I've stopped again, I posted, I disappeared, I've watched my store collect dust, I've watched posts go down, I've disappeared off of social media, not because any of the products were bad or what I was doing was bad. It's just that I wasn't showing up, and every time I did show up, even in a small way, things were moving. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be present. Show up for that hustle like you show up for your regular job. Show up for your dreams. This is your dream. Show up, because showing up, it depends on you showing up. Consistency will beat perfection all the time. And it's about being consistently present, consistently there. That's what matters. I've also learned to take the small wins. When the big wins feel far away, I always take stock in the little ones. My first sale on Etsy, my first charging station, my first faceless video, the first spy mystery detective story that I wrote that people started listening to. Those are proof points. Not just that I can win, but that I have won. That I was able to do something and it worked. If you're listening right now and you feel stuck, count your receipts, not the revenue, but count your receipts. The proof that you're doing the work. That's what you're looking at. Okay. That you're showing up, that you're learning. That's momentum. You keep moving forward. You're consistent, you're showing up all the time, and you're doing things. You're going forward. Okay. Don't count your revenue, count the receipts that you're making things happen. Now, if for those of you who are working with people, you may still feel that way. But I know that sometimes it's a lonely thing. But you have to understand, and I'm trying to move toward that feeling of that I'm still not alone. Nobody told me that this journey was going to be lonely like this. I thought it was going to be a team effort. I thought I had a team behind me. But when I realized I really didn't have a team behind me, that kind of hit different. There's something hard about dreaming big and building small, especially when you're the only one holding it down. I think part of that is probably me because I have not been able to really put out there my vision and what I'm really looking for. So I'm working on that, trying to explain and trying to illustrate my vision of where I want this whole thing to go, maybe because I don't even know where it's going to go. But I think that once I get better in explaining my vision, that might change. But just because you're building solo doesn't mean you're alone. Community is out there. Okay. And for those of you who felt that way, I'm with you. I'm right there with you. I see you. I know I am you. But we're still going on, right? Consistency, show up, count your receipts, keep learning, keep that momentum going. I know I wanted to keep this short. So what do we do now? What do we do now? We keep going. We keep showing up. We keep pressing record. We keep launching new products, testing new ideas, writing new stories, telling our story. We keep staying consistent, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching, even when no one's buying. Because in the end, we're not just building brands, we're building legacies. So remember that. You're not just building a brand. You're not just building a logo. You're not just building a name. You're building a legacy for yourself, for your family, for what you want to leave behind. So, if this episode hits home, share it with somebody in the grind. If you want to hear it again, play it again. Play it later. Play it tomorrow. Play it the next day. Keep playing it so I can get hits. But sometimes the most important meeting is the one that you can have with yourself. Okay. So I thank you for taking this real short time and hearing what I'm learning about entrepreneurship. And it's always a learning process. I'm always learning. Every day that I'm learning new things about myself, how I handle certain situations, how I don't handle situations. So it's always a learning process. So check out Sip and Listen on Etsy. Hit me up with your wins. And remember, real talk builds real business. So pour up, pull up, and keep building. And I'll see you at the table next time. Peace.